Welcome. Before we engage in the second video of this 36th epistle of Exodus, we're receiving instructions of the incredible building of this ark. Let's go over a few. Things that have been erroneously spread as validations or truths, especially in regards to the newest pontiff that has been selected by the cardinals, and it's mainly I'm attacking the media representatives who just have no idea what they're talking about. Because as I said before, what they all do is they take the research off of one individual and they spread this around as truth. Same thing as I've mentioned before, like when someone says the Earth is 20 billion years old. Some scientist says that 40 years ago, and everybody uses that same research, even though it's not validated research. This with the Pope. No man, and please, if you're in a conversation with anyone discussing this, or if you hear anyone discussing this, or if you're involved with the media, correct them, because they are wrong. No man is head of Quiescence Church. Why? Because it is a calling, and it involves dignity, proper only to one individual who came as a human, left as a spirit, and will return as our God, Jesus. He is the head of the church, the Pope. So what's the definition of the Pope then? The best equivalent that I've discovered is what Paul stated: Summum Sacerdotem. Summum Sacerdotem. Which other English words or translations for the Pope, he can be called the ministerial head. So you can introduce him to the church's new ministerial head, but never the Catholic Church's new leader. That is incorrect, that is wrong, and it's blasphemous actually, because it's written in the gospel, the New Testament, but people don't read. They just, again, they're like mirrors. Somebody says something and they mirror it over. Another, chief governor. The Pope can be called the chief governor of the church or chief prelate. But again, my favorite is Summum Sacerdotem. That's the definition of the Pope. But he is not the head or the leader of Christ's church, the Catholic Church. All right, so let's continue on where we left off with this construction. Again, remember when I talked about he, because it's written as he made also loops, as this verse 11 begins. And until I get a better definition on who he is, you'll have to kind of make up your own mind whether Moses is speaking of himself, or is he speaking of the individuals that were put in charge of this construction, Bezaleel and Uliab, he being Bezaleel. All right, so he made also loops of hyacinth. Right, so we're talking about these curtains. And on each side of the curtain, let me draw it for you quick. Again, I am not an artist for sketching and drawing anyway. So you have these curtains with these loops. These loops are, it's a poor rendition, but the loops are against each other. One leads into the next. And on each edge of the curtain are these loops. To combine these curtains, golden rings are used, and there are 50, which we could assume there are 50 loops. So 50 golden rings will attach these curtains, unifying these curtains into one. 11 curtains were made of goat's hair. And they had the length of 30 cubits by 40 cubits. So 34 arms long by 44 arms wide. And they're all of one measure. 5 were joined and 6 were joined. So we have 5 and 6. And this is covering the roof of the tabernacle. So what he's describing is the covering. Again, this is a portable, this is a mobile church. So, and Quies knows this. So everything built and worked together is synergistic. When it's all pieced together as a puzzle, a perfect puzzle, everything has its own place and can be completely disassembled to move to the next location and reassemble exactly the way it was in the beginning. This is so precise. No other, I hate to use this term puzzle, but I'll use it because we can understand it. No other quintessential puzzle has ever been blessed on this planet. Definitely not invented by man. 50 loops on these, again, one to the next, to join each other. But instead of golden rings for these curtains over here, they're using brass buckles is what's used to join these roof curtains. Brass buckles, not golden rings, going through the loops. Now there's also a cover for the tabernacle, and this cover is made of ram skin, and the ram skin is dyed red. So we have all right, so we're going to have a cover at this tabernacle. Now we have a couple covers, and it's pretty incredible. The first cover is, as we already stated, is ram skin dyed red. Over this one is another cover of xanthan, yellow. That's sort of a yellow. So we have two covers, one of red and a xanthan cover over that. He also made boards for, of the tabernacle, and the boards are made of the wood, once again, setim, all standing up. The length of the board is, so we have a board here, a length, 10 cubits, so 10 forearms. 1.5 cubits wide. Now, for how these boards are joined, well, it's called a mortise joint. There's several ways to make it, but so on this one end, you would have a stem, so to speak. It's carved into it. On the other end, you have a hole, like a receiver. And the stem will go into it as a mortise joint. There's two of them. So this is the hole, and the stem goes into the hole. It's a mortise joint. But 2 mortises on every board joined together. 20 boards were at the south side, facing the south. And the bottom, the feet of these, are silver. Incredibly enough, silver. 40 feet. You can try to imagine 40 feet of silver along the bottoms here. The side on the north, 20 boards with 40 feet of silver, 2 feet for every board, 2 feet of silver for every board. You can see how these materials are being used again, from bottom to top. Sometimes brass is on the bottom, and sometimes, like on these boards, it's the silver lining the bottom. It's just amazing how Chris has this all divinely pictured that one man, except for Moses, can understand why these particular colors, why these materials are used. And a lot of this will come up later on in the Old Testament as we progress through the books. On the west side, another side of the tabernacle, and this is the side looking towards the sea. So the west side is looking towards the sea. Six boards. Six boards, and there's two others at the corner of the tabernacle behind, which were joined underneath up to the top. So it's all grew into one connection. So in other words, you have a half a dozen boards over here, and at the top and the bottom, everything's interconnected. With the roof and with the bottom, everything is blessedly interconnected, either by loops or mortices, or using metals to join them. He also, the bars. Remember, man cannot touch any of this. So bars are made. I mean, once again, the bars are made out of the wood, set them, and then they are coated. These particular ones, there are 5 to hold together the boards of one side of the tabernacle. So 5. And then 5 others to join the boards of the other side. There are also 5 other bars on the west side of the tabernacle, which we have just told you about, against the sea here. 5 other boards. He also made another bar that comes around the center of it, like a center beam. And instead of going, this is the top view. It's not a center beam bisecting it. Instead, it goes cross corner brilliantly. What does this do? Well, when you put a cross joint on something, it keeps the corners square. That's what you use cross joints for. It's amazing Elohim already knows this, is teaching man this. There's certainly a point as to why Father has Moses purposely using the donations of the people in lieu of making it and giving it. And said, here, make this stuff. I'll give you the gold. Here's the silver. Now put it together. No. The precious metals, the woods, the embroidery, everything is directly made by man through the guidance of Quies. And the intercession of all of this is the best friend to Quies, who is named Moses. When we next meet, we're going to go over the boardwalk next, which is plated with gold. So until then, Pax Vobis, enjoy your incredible day, and please, there is another path. And America isn't on that path either. So please, by all means, don't assume that I'm saying the country that I'm a part of at the moment is the apex nation for all nations to delve after. No, it's not. It's a nation built on might and a bunch of mixed religions and ideologies. It's flawed endlessly. But what makes America the biggest mistake is they try to validate man's work using scripture, and that is just so much in error. So please don't assume that I'm telling you America is the way to oblige by. No, I'm telling America is also ran by men, or if you want to be more particular, men and women. But when I'm explaining to these nations in conflict, there is a most prestigious way. And Israel has been the only nation on earth to follow the realms of Quies. And it became the most powerful nation in the world under a king by the name of Solomon. And no other country will ever touch the strength, the power, and the respect that the nation Israel had during that time. All right, till next we meet, Pax Vobis. And there's Patty. Oh, yeah, they're already gone. Say goodbye, Patty. Say, Elohim bless. Elohim bless the creatures and mankind.